Because we either got a false start or Kenny started and Eric's stream hasn't updated.
Yeah. Okay, they're talking about...
Yeah, I see in our Discord, it was definitely a false start. Doesn't mean anything, obviously. Just miscommunications happening between runners.
Okay, looks like they're ready to start again.
Yeah, if you're just joining us, we just had a minor hiccup there, but we're ready to start now.
Okay, and the runners are off, so this is Specter Knight, 80%. He can move with short jumps, he can climb up walls, and he has his scythe, which he can slash enemies with in the air.
And also, he has a slightly shorter jump due to all his wall climbing and mobility powers here.
Yeah, so you're seeing on Eric's screen, he's picking up a red skull, which is currency for Spectre. He can use that to pick up sub-weapons later on in the run, which you'll see both of them doing at some point. They'll be collecting 5 or 6 skulls, depending on what they want to do.
Dealing with pretty normally here. So yeah, the red skulls that we're getting are going to be used to purchase curios at the end of the stages. Won't be able to get them until the end of the next stage that we're doing, but they're very useful and our main ways of going fast in this game.
Okay, both runners choosing to get extra health, called a Wisp. Spectre's health is Will. Definitely a safe strat for a race. I don't blame them for that.
Not at all, no. Yeah, it's the Will of the Wisp there, or Willful Wisp, I forget which name it is. But yeah, that's the health upgrade one. You can also purchase those at the end, in between stages, for a little bit of gold, which can be faster depending on how you do it.
And you noticed Kenny using some wall kicking there. When you're on ladders, you can actually move up them quicker sometimes. They're both approaching Black Knight's fight. Can you tell us about the Black Knight fight, Troy?
Yeah, so they're going to be going for a stun lock here, similar to what you'd see in the other campaigns at this point. We can lock him up against the wall, and if you time your jumps here, your air slashes correctly, by lining up his nose with that waterfall, Terrapin, which is the thing Black Knight is riding. you will keep him in a stun lock and kill him pretty easily.
And both runners executing that really well, heading into the hub world. In the hub world, you can get access to a few characters that you'll see later on in the run, but you also head to the stage select mirror, which is actually slower than in the other campaigns for selecting levels. Both runners will be heading into the flying machine propeller night stage.
Kenny taking a safety strat. I think Eric's going for it too, yeah. So giving money to Manny here, which we need to do in this route to get the rail mail. Getting it there so that you risk not losing the money in the stage itself that you're doing before going there.
Yeah, taking a death makes you lose around 25% of your gold, which can be risky in this stage, since they'll be breaking a lot of checkpoints to get lots of money. Hopefully they'll be getting some safety backups so they can break less checkpoints.
Yes, the stage is done because it's we're going to be able to unlock Judgment Rush from beating the stage. Oh, taking a death there by Kenny.
Kenny with the unfortunate death, and Eric dealing with that room, just saving himself from having to repeat a room really well. That will put Eric in the current lead right now, but anyone is race at this point.
And Eric getting this health as well.
Yeah, for a race, or just even when you're starting to run, those two backup skulls for the will, those are really easy ones to get, and you don't lose much time.
So yeah, this stage is very hard because it's much later into the game, typically on other, if you were to do Shovel Knight or Plague Knight's campaign. But it gives you the most gold, and it's also, but it's also very difficult because of how late it is.
Eric getting a very nice kill on that mini-boss there. Not much else to say there.
Getting stunned there by that.
Oh, that's unfortunate. Eric going for a little swag here on the auto-scroller. Just not so much to do as you just wait to climb it.
So both of these runners are trying to have a certain amount of gold by the end of the stage. Typically it's 8,400, but because they gave money to Manny, I believe...
should be like 6,000.
It'd be 6,000 if you didn't have to give any money to Manny, but they both have at least one, so that's another 800 or 1,600 on top of that.
That's including the boss kill.
Yes, which is 3,000 gold.
Okay, Eric choosing to break that checkpoint, it seems. Now he's on to the dreaded Jawa room, the triple Jawa. They're just meanies, they just like to blow you off the level. And hopefully he can deal with it well. And, oh no! He dies.
I thought he could make that,
He got the checkpoint.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen anyone break that checkpoint, because this room is so...
Oh, he dies again! No!
That.
That'll give Kenny a chance to catch up, though. Oh, and Kenny taking a death there as he gets walled by the Jawa. while Eric leads himself to the Propeller Knight fight, which is a very dangerous one because he can deal 1 to 1.5 hearts per hit, and he's going to try to get up to 10 hits in the beginning of his fight before the ground breaks beneath him.
Yeah, cney dying here, having his gold in a place where you really can't recover it at all.
Now I'm hoping he'll remember that if he needs it, he can get some extra gold in the hub world later on. There's a really nice fight on Eric's side, heading back to the hub world to get Judgment Rush. Can you tell us about that sub-weapon?
So Judgment Rush is a item that will let us lock on to the nearest enemy on screen and fly to them, which allows us to, basically does that, which allows us to skip a lot of different screens in this game. There are a few points in the game where it won't do that, being that if we can't actually end at that point on the screen, but typically you will just go to the nearest enemy.
And then Eric will be heading up to Manny and just picking up the rail mail after he gives him the rest of his money. And that'll allow you to just basically move faster. You can jump farther because of your momentum. cney getting a decent fight on Propeller, about to do the same things in the hub world.
cney picking up his Judgment Rush, and also picking up a little extra gold in the Judgment Rush tutorial section.
Eric is heading into the Lich Yard, which is telling me that he is doing the Skeletal Sentry route so far. In this stage, he'll be trying to get a couple more skulls so he can purchase that later on in the run. And it looks like cney will be doing the same. So this stage is home to Specter Knight in the Shovel Knight campaign, but because it's before then, the Phantom Striker will be waiting for them at the end of the stage. So they're just going to try to go as fast as possible and pick up those skulls and some extra gold.
That right there was actually an instance of Judgment Rush going to something that, choosing an enemy that we actually can rush to instead of something we can't. Like, it would have gone to that ghost because it was closest, but it was in the wall, so it went to the other enemy.
Eric getting some nice, cney getting some nice movement in that part of the stage, really nicely done. Eric is going to be heading into the last dark room, which has a lot of moving platforms. We'll see how he deals with it. Gets the checkpoint for safety. Alright, he's taking it safe and doing the 4 up slashes there. I don't blame him any bit. Getting the extra health before Phantom Striker. Can you tell us about that guy?
So Phantom Striker, he's going to have a lot of points where he's going to be invincible, so we're just going to be able to try to optimize as many hits as we can when he is not invincible, which will be about 4 to 5 hits, given that we have no weapon, no curios at our disposal other than the Judgment Rush.
Alright, and now that he's down to half health, he's going to do his lightning attack, Eric getting a nice extra hit when he lands. Now let's see how cney deals with Phantom Striker as Eric finishes it up. Not too much time between them right now. Okay, Eric doing some nice improvising as he loses the lock and gets it down.
And now going into the first flashback on Eric's screen.
Yeah, so before he was Specter Knight, he was Donovan traveling with his companion Luan. And basically they're just going to go through the stage with no items yet. And they'll try to get some extra gold. Because of time travel, somehow your gold stays with you. or some sort of whatever mechanic.
So yeah, getting a lot. There's a lot of opportunities to get a good amount of gold on this stage. So taking that opportunity here.
Alright, and Eric heading into the Clockwork Tower gets some extra darkness, which is Specter's mana, allowing him to use more items at a time, or just more uses out of it. This stage is very long and has 2 auto-scrollers, and you need to manage your darkness in order to get through it very quickly.
Yeah, it's also, along with being such a long stage, it also has a lot of sections where we can't get the checkpoint because it is out of our way almost entirely, so it just becomes a very troubling stage because of that. Like that checkpoint, no one goes for that.
In the whole stage, there's like one checkpoint that's kind of on the path, but not really still. Eric going for the fast strat, doesn't quite get it, but doesn't phase him at all, still able to go.
Kenny opting to just wait it out and be safe on that cycle.
So after this auto-scroller, you're going to see both of the runners trying to actually get above the spiraling towers. That's just part of the game design. Sometimes you can go on ceilings, that helps you go faster. And then you're going to hit into a second auto-scroller in a little bit.
Yeah, not to blame Jakob Games or anything, but there are a lot of sections to animate and put in boundaries, and sometimes you just forget. So there should be a ceiling there, honestly, just by looking at the animation. Honestly, a lot of us speedrunners assumed there was a ceiling there. But some speedrunners just looked anyway and found that there wasn't. So there's that point.
And you can see right there how much of the stage you can just skip, or parts of the stage you can skip with a good Judgment Rush. Unfortunately falling. Let's see if he gets to skip here. Oh no. Oh man. Does he know that? Okay, he's getting extra health, he knows about it.
Yeah.
Oh no, come on Eric, you can do it.
Also, going to the previous screen will reset a lot of animations, unless they're on a global cycle. But here, these gears are not. Usually, a lot of the enemies aren't either.
And that's going to allow Kenny to catch up with him, and they're basically head-to-head right now.
Both deciding to get this checkpoint before this auto-scroller, which is the auto-scroller before the Tinker Knight boss.
Yeah, so
just gonna
tell us about that one.
Okay, I guess I'm telling everyone about all the bosses. But yeah, anyway.
Yeah.
Tinker Knight is typically a fight that is seen as a joke in a lot of the other campaigns, but here he actually has been given quite an improvement in being difficult. So his the gear that he will move around in is going to do a full heart of damage, and he's also going to be moving up and down a bunch and throwing wrenches and just being a nuisance.
Okay, Kenny definitely looks good on gold. He needs 4,000, which he has. Eric might have to improvise a little. We'll see how he handles it right now. Going for a treasure chest.
Yeah, they're both going for this treasure chest so that they don't have to break this checkpoint.
Okay, what's nice about Specter Knight is that you can slash on the ground, and then enemies will pass through you if you're doing damage. So you can see that being highlighted on this boss fight. Both of them are doing a decent job so far. Kenny little hit.
Cool to see the runners in sync like this.
Yeah, this is pretty dope.
And now onto phase 2 of Tinker Knight, where he breaks the wall and has his mech spawn out on the left side. And he's just going to jump around left and right. And, oh, Eric died.
Kenny got the smackdown from the mech. And Eric, unfortunately, taking a death there.
Yeah, as we said, that phase 1 of Tinker Knight is a lot harder than it is in any other campaign.
Only Spectre had a gear.
Yeah, it's like Tinker Knight's revenge on how much we've laughed at his first phase.
So does Spectre just steal it so Shovel Knight can use it or something?
Maybe he hasn't created. Maybe Tinker Knight hasn't created the second gear yet.
Hmm.
Because this is the prequel after all.
Alright, and Kenny heading into getting the Skeletal Sentry, which is basically a turret that you can deploy, a skeleton turret, and he has enough gold that he'll be upgrading it before he gets into the Dark Reese fight. While Eric juggles Tinker Knight, dealing with the second phase pretty well so far, not getting smacked down by the mech.
And yeah, thank you for pointing out that, yeah, Eric needs 7,000 gold at the end of this fight. You can jump into the pit there and die, even if you beat the boss already, it doesn't care. But, yeah, he's gonna need another 600 gold in order to get the Skeletal Sentry upgrade, which I don't know where he's gonna get that.
Oh, hopefully he didn't visit the Juice Bar yet, because that's exactly 600 he can get there.
And now Kenny's going into Dark Reese fight, which with Skeletal Sentry is going to be kind of difficult. There are a lot of cases where Reese will avoid the shots from the Sentry entirely.
Okay, and you can see the power of the powered up Skeletal Sentry, just able to shoot that many bullets at once, and he can take a few hits without an upgrade. The Skeletal Sentry goes down really fast. Kenny dealing with it really well, and he's going to head into his next stage, which is the Iron Whale.
Yes, and it looks like Eric did go to the Juice Bar to get the money he needed. As Eric now fights Reese.
Is Kenny gonna... Nope, he goes for the safe strat in this room, usually called Snail Parade.
Correctly called Snail Parade.
True that. Eric getting some good RNG from the Skeletal Sentry and Reese, does the massive amounts of damage. Nice use of the explosion you can do with him.
I see people are pointing out the music a lot, so I'll mention it. A lot of the music has been remixed in this campaign, because hearing the same music in every campaign would be kind of repetitive.
Yeah, and Jake Hoffman did most of the music. I think for this stage originally was done by one of the Mega Man composers. Okay, Kenny going to the 420 fish. Just basically doing the Wily 2 castle stage right now, and then we'll fight him. We'll see if he can use some items to deal with it quicker.
Yeah, it's potentially going to go for the one cycle kill here. That is way too far forward for it to for this to be done correctly. But officially, this enemy is called Teethalon, We call it 420 fish, as Brasswolf had said before, because his hitbox is always a bit too high for us, and every time we have to fight him, no matter what character we're using.
Oh, that's the lore? Really?
Yes, that is the reason why we call it 420 fish.
Right with the lore here.
I don't know much, but I know that.
Alright, and... Ooh! Kenny getting a nice save there. Very fortunate there. He's heading into the Bertha room, which won't be as dangerous for him with 6 health, but Bertha can do like 2 damage and can only be killed by the Dread Talon, but we don't have that, so it can really only be killed by anchors.
Yes, 2 damage, meaning 2 full circles of damage there, or hearts. So, yeah, you don't want to get hit by 3 Bertha. Also, the only thing that can kill her is these anchors, or a curio that we actually don't get in this route at all.
So Kenny using a good use of the Judgment Rush, which allows you to stall in the air for a moment, which is very useful in that room, just waiting for the anchor to get out of the death plane. He's going to be heading into Treasure Knight, which don't get it too attached to him, because he's just going to die very quickly.
Yeah, Skeletal Sentry is going to make, now that we have it fully upgraded, it's going to make all these Order of No Quarter boss fights
It's
much
basically
easier.
Roadhog in a treasure chute.
Kind of, but yeah, we just melt through him.
And he's down.
Definitely not as tanky as Roadhog.
Nope, that can't heal himself, unfortunately. But fortunate for us, he can. Eric now going into the Bertha room. He unfortunately misses the jump, but not too much time lost. And Kenny now going for a Darkness upgrade as he heads into the Lost City, which is Mole Knight stage. This amazing fire stage.
Yeah, Lost City being one of the particularly harder stages due to all the instances of lava and bouncy blocks.
Needless to say, it's pretty lit.
You didn't say that.
Alright. Eric doing a good opening on Treasure Knight, while Kenny is going to be heading into the first of 2 beetle skips. We'll see how he handles it. Hopefully Steve cooperates. Steve being the name of the bird. Nice use of Rush, because Steve didn't totally cooperate, so Rush was able to lock on to that. Oh, he doesn't get the fastest one. Oh, but he does! That was really nice.
Yeah. He was going a bit slower than I thought you'd be able to get it. I thought we wouldn't be able to get it, but he did get it.
That's the first time I've seen someone do that.
I've seen a couple instances of it, maybe like when Mumu or Patwa got there. Kenny bonking. Yeah, Kenny bonking on that screen gets kind of scary if you bonk there.
Yeah, on the platform he was on that room, it does when you jump off of it, it starts to disappear. The chain reaction starts.
And now the other use of the Judgment Rush is its ability to stall. If there are no enemies on screen when you use Judgment Rush, it will just pause you in the air, using significantly less magic, and will also reset your wall climbing ability. Sorry.
Alright, and Eric threw the first beetle skip, nicely done. Kenny using a good use of the Skeletal Sentry's explosion to get rid of those blocks.
Slight advantage that Skeletal Sentry has over Bounding Soul Route is that screen right there. Being that Kenny with Bounding Soul, you have to go through a lot riskier strategies to get through that screen fast.
And this fight is another advantage because you can kill him in a quicker cycle. Just like that. Really nicely done, Kenny. Okay, Eric through the scary room. And now, Kenny is going to be receiving Caltrops from Luan. Let's cheer him on. Hopefully Luan cooperates and saves him that second.
Yeah, it's some Go Luan goes in the chat. Ah, he waited. Got the slowest Luan.
Yeah.
That is
What a guy.
Honestly, it's only about a second of time loss, but it's still fun to cheer him on.
So you get Caltrops, you can get it in the first memory, but because you get it for free in this memory, there's no point in really getting it earlier in the speedrun, since you can only use it in the flashbacks. And it can be useful if used against Shield Knight, who will be the boss of this stage. Shield Knight needs to be hit from behind unless she throws her shield, and she'll be just dashing around, so hopefully Kenny will get a good fight.
And Caltrops will only hit her once they're fully settled on the ground, unless you hit her directly.
And that was a good open. Eric on the Mole Knight fight doing this nice opening as well, and getting the quick kill as well. Eric juggling Shield Knight. Kenny, rather. And down! Alright, here's a spoiler alert.
Bye, Luan. You were slow. Let's see if Eric gets a good Luan.
And you'll notice Eric has a little less mana. Darkness translates to mana here.
And there's Eric getting the fastest Luan.
Good Luan.
Yes, very good.
We will mourn you now. Kenny heading into the Explodatorium. With this much darkness, it can be a really fun stage. He's going to try to go fast, but not too fast, in order to get the pot cycles, which will allow him to not have to wait. You have to find like a happy balance.
And yeah, with Kenny messing up a couple times already, I don't know if he'll make it.
Yeah, I think the threshold is like 1 or 2 mistakes.
Yeah, it's pretty close. Like it's pretty tight of a window. Excuse me. So that's what I meant to say.
Oh, Kenny going up and down the ladder, unfortunately, while Eric deals with Shield Knight. Oof, nice save, Kenny.
Yeah, Kenny having to wait for the proper pot cycle now. Both our players having 6 health now, which is a large amount of safety from both of them, but will allow for much less potential of dying in all these boss fights.
Rip your counter of death. But Kenny is heading into the Alchemist. With Skeletal Sentry, can become a quick fight. And he's down before he transforms.
Which is something you can't do in Bounding Soul at all. You usually have to hit him a couple more times after he transforms. And now seeing Eric start his way into the Explodatorium.
Okay, Kenny dealing with the fire cycles well. I mean, you can try to brute force it, but you're gonna just take a lot of unnecessary damage. You might as well just wait like he did. Kenny will be hitting into Plague Knight, which he bounces around, throws his flasks at you. With Skeletal Sentry, you hopefully set him up in a corner to do a lot of damage, and then slash him. He'll eventually clone himself once or twice, depending on how quick you can fight him. Unfortunately, Skeletal Sentry is the wrong way.
Yeah, if any damage is done to the sentry itself, he will turn around.
Eric taking the pot cycle slow to be safe. I don't blame that at all. It's a very scary screen. And Kenny getting his last darkness before he heads into the stranded ship. But before we do that, hi Baz. And Eric is going to be dealing with the Alchemist now.
I expected you to just say bye, Baz, so that's why I was so silent there.
Bye, Baz.
There it is.
He's the whip the nay guy.
Yeah. Those are the whip noises.
Alright, and you might notice these blue and red platforms. Those are actually the first instance of the campaign that you can actually rail without having rail mail. But you can change direction. Blue will turn you right, and left will turn you... Wait, red will turn you left. And you'll notice, because Kenny doesn't have a color code, that his palette actually changes depending on what direction Spectre goes.
It's a very subtle, like, sub-color. You can see it in, like, the shadows that the outfit would make when you're railing.
Okay, and Eric heading into the Plague Knight. Hopefully Plague Knight cooperates. Nice toss on Kenny's screen.
Yeah, so Skeletal Sentry's shots and explosion can trigger the buttons on this stage. So we'll be trying to use that to trigger them and solve some of these puzzles a bit earlier. Not going for it on that screen, though.
That is a gnarly toss if you go for it.
Did not go for it, though. Pretty good fight on Plague Knight for Eric there.
Let's just skip 2 rooms with the Judgment Rush there. Ooh, Kenny gets that trick. Nicely done.
Yes, that is a Judgment Rush that is a lot harder than it looks, because it forces you to wall climb at the end, and if you don't cancel it quickly enough, it will just bring you to that rail above you, and
you can sometimes just fall into the spikes.
That too.
Alright, Kenny going into the Polar Knight fight, which again, because of this long screen, you can really take advantage of Skeletal Sentry's shots.
Yeah, a lot of the time, Polar Knight will just skate alongside a single shot, taking multiple hits from that one shot, like he just did there.
And that's why you never leave a bro behind. Okay, Eric heading into the mini-boss. Putting his Skeletal Sentry down to get just a few more hits than normal. Okay, Kenny heading into the Pridemore Keep. We'll be seeing in the very first screen if he can get fast enough to beat the first pot cycle. He does wait and unfortunately gets hit, but that was still a decent opening of the stage. Eric having a little hang up on this part, but is overall doing a nice job. Goes for the toss, unfortunately misses it. Mumu likes to call this guy Paul Blart, because sometimes you can sneak by him, but we just use the rush and just deal with him that way.
Mumu also calls that cheating.
Yes.
You gotta let Paul Blart do his job. And we're due to rail mail, we're able to skip a lot of these puzzles where we'd be activating the books to give us some platforms, but we don't need them.
Kenny getting some nice RNG. That lid he opened can sometimes be a bomb. You don't know where you're going to get there.
Along with sometimes being bomb, it can also sometimes be a carrot, which gives you slightly less health than that chicken. But, yeah, so he actually doubly got best RNG.
And Eric, let's see how he does with this Polar Knight fight. He's gonna slide with him.
Getting some cool swag there. Kenny dealing with these the book room kind of slowly, but it's playing it safe, so that's fine.
Yeah, that could be a scary room, and as you can see with that big hole, you can fall very easily. Hey, now he's heading into the King Knight.
You can almost call her a Queen Knight, like we're in the gender swap version.
I wish.
That'd be great. I wish gender swap existed in all campaigns.
Alright, and King Knight is mostly staying on the ground, so Skeletal Sentry is able to do much of the job as well. And then Kenny dealing with the rest, and King Knight's down very quickly before the confetti. Or the Kingfetti.
I guess moving over to Kenny's audio. So Kenny will now be going into Tower 1, which is going to combine a lot of the mechanics from other stages. In this campaign, because we can choose stages in any order, they can't really add on to our previous techniques that we've learned, because they don't know what order we're going to choose. But on Tower 1 being the last stage, second to last stage in all campaigns, no matter which route you take, it combines a lot of those techniques now, and we're gonna have to be trying to get a lot of earlier cycles because of that.
And Kenny doing a nice job getting that book skip. You can hit the books again, but that'll cause you to go slower. Meanwhile, Eric having nice movement on Pridemore Keep as he makes his way. Alright, Kenny's looking good so far.
Yes, also going for an early Crusher cycle, having to hit that mace or spike ball, whatever it is.
Yeah, the other danger besides a spike is that you can just fall there.
Yeah, the death plane, or like where how low on the screen you can go before you'll die, is pretty high up on the screen, so it's not very forgiving.
He uses a rush to say, "I don't have time for your mess" to the Crypt Dude.
Getting through the bounce house using the fast method. Yes, I'm the only one who calls it that, but it's the best name, so I keep it.
Alright, Kenny playing it safe. Going into what I think is one of the best auto-scrollers of gaming.
Yeah, meanwhile, Eric fighting King Knight here.
Oh.
Going a bit slow, getting the cards of shame, or sorry, the trumpets of shame as we call them. If you take a bit too long, the trumpet attack will happen.
And with that, Eric has completed the Order of No Quarter and will be heading into his Tower 1. But with the bosses that they're both going to be coming up on in the last stages, anything could really happen. Black Knight 2, where Kenny's about to do, can be extremely frustrating sometimes. Can you tell us a little bit why this guy is just so special in our hearts?
Special isn't annoying. So he is... Black Knight 2 is typically riding in the air on his Terrapin, who is the Rhino Turtle guy. And we can try to knock him down, but sometimes he will not be able to be knocked down. Typically you try to fight him in the air, and get yourself damage boosted a bit so that you can stay in the right spot. But then you also have to avoid a lot of these projectiles that are happening while you're in the air, which are not fun to avoid considering how hard it is to control yourself while in the air.
Kenny had a good save on getting the stun lock to start. Unfortunately, he doesn't get it, so now he's going to try to knock him off and use Skeletal Sentry perhaps to do some more damage. When Black Knight gets to half a heart left, he'll try to jump back on Terrapin. Eric doing a nice job on his part of the stage as he approaches deeper into the tower.
as someone pointed out, it looks like Eric has gotten the Will Skull, which is a curio that will heal yourself using darkness, which is a good safety strat to use in these races, especially against Black Knight, which is, as we said, is a very difficult fight.
Yeah, but cney gets through it. Eric, meanwhile, going through the normal cycle of the Crushers. cney picking up the Striker Shawl, which allows you to charge attack and do a full heart of damage. Eric using a decent use of the Dungeon Rush to bypass part of that Crusher ending. And now, with all the randomizer games going on, I feel like I want to call this the Tower of Hera for all those Zelda fans, and you can see why right now.
Oh, I see what you're getting at. Okay, but also getting the Striker Shawl because of the reason, for the reason that our Skeletal Sentry will not have a lot of use in these two boss fights. Enchantress is typically an air-dominant boss, and Skeletal Sentry only works well if the boss stays on the ground. And then the fight afterwards, there is no place for us to put the Skeletal Sentry.
And so the first part of this fight, once she loses 3 of her 10 hearts, she'll start to dash across the screen and get underneath, and then the fight really begins. That was a really nice opening. Getting more than 3 hearts, full hearts have done, is a really nice opening with Skeletal Sentry.
Getting a few shots in there from the Sentry as well.
Using the explosions to do extra damage while she's underneath.
Yes.
Meanwhile, Eric going through the rain to approach Dark Knight, or Black Knight, not Dark Knight.
Good kill on Enchantress.
Definitely. Now he's on to Nightmare Reese, which has rail mail. Rails. And these rails are just special, because you don't know what you're going to get. Because life's a box of chocolates.
Indeed. So yeah, these rails are randomly generated, and we want rails. We want to typically stay on the top rail, and also one that is a bit high and also in front of Reese's face, so that we can hit him with the charge slash from the Striker Shawl as much as possible.
Okay, Eric recharging his health as he has Black Knight on the ground.
So yeah, hitting him on the ground being the other method of fighting Black Knight 2, which can be a bit easier because he's not flying all around the place, and you don't have to damage boost off of him.
And Black Knight's down for him, leading him to the Tower of Fate 2. And time on cney's screen looks like a 46:33.
If anyone wondering about Eric's time, I'm sure he'll tell us once he's run his over in chat.
Okay, Eric picking the shawl up as he heads into the ascent.
And Eric actually having a pretty good time here. His PB is actually around a 54, so this is very good time for him.
Okay, and he gets to safe spot on the 5th block that appears. You can actually slash upwards to get on the ceiling just to relax a little bit.
Excuse me, Eric's PP is actually a 53-39, which was done in the previous race that he did in this tournament.
Yeah, this is a really good run for him. Let's see how he does with these fights.
Getting an unfortunate placement of that platform, so he wasn't able to get the detonate as he wanted.
Nice placement on the skeletal sentry there.
Yeah. And I'll thank Kenny for going through the credits to let me see the deaths so that I can record that on my statistics. Although I did record it myself while I was watching. But good to know I was right with the counter. We'll have to check with Eric, but this could be a sub 50.
I'm really hoping it is. I'm really hoping this fight can get done really quickly.
No matter what, it's definitely a PB because we're well ahead of it, provided he doesn't die here, which he's very close to beating Nightmare Reeves.
Alright, he's on to the final phase of Nightmare Reeves. Time.
Going very risky. Okay, getting that last hit there. Good fight by Eric. If what Kenny says is true, he got a 50.07.
Oh, that could be in the...
Yes, that is according to SRL.
What's up, guys?
Hey, Eric, nice.
Oh, we got Eric. Yeah, good job on getting that PB. Do you know what time he got?
Yeah, let me just say that if I hadn't missed that last hit on Raze, that would have been a sub 50.
Oh, no.
Okay, so it was a 50.07.
My time was a 50.04.
Oh, okay, cool.
That's a really solid PB there. Nice job.
Yeah,
thank
quite
you.
an improvement. Quite an improvement from your last one. Good job.
Now we're going to with Kenny. How did you feel, Kenny?
Don't know if mic is working or not. We're not hearing anything, Kenny.
Sorry, I didn't hit the unmute button hard enough, apparently. Mash all the buttons. Hopefully you're hearing me now.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, we hear it.
Okay, cool. So first of all, I want to say congrats to Eric, because that was, holy cow, like a PB by like 3 minutes or something.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, things were a little more interesting than usual. What with me taking a dip in the what do we want to call it? The onion chasm on my way to get the Will-Wisp in Flying Machine, and then of course I died to Jawas. I think we both died to Jawas.
Oh no, we both died twice in Flying Machine? Oh no.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where
Did you die? You guys were actually really close.
I know
two deaths and triple Jawas.
Oh, okay. I just had one there, and then one earlier when I was going to get the Wisp because I didn't react properly to being late. But I noticed we synced up in like the second auto-scroller in Clockwork, I think.
Yeah, you guys were pretty much synced. Yeah, you were completely synced up in Tinker Knight.
That was crazy.
That's actually awesome.
But yeah, I actually surprisingly got a couple of gold splits, which I don't understand. But yeah, I had like the 2 best runs ever earlier today, so I was due to have something dumb happen.
Yeah.
But actually, this race was still like, all 3 of my race times have been within half a minute of each other. There was a 46.08, I think, and a 46.27, and this one's a 46.32 or so.
Oh, wow.
And both of you are one of the few people to actually go for 6 health in these races.
Yeah, I still play it safe.
I don't blame you at
I would
all.
have died to Black Knight if I didn't have 6 health and the Will-Wisp.
My biggest concern is Enchantress, because it's very easy for me to flub that and it doesn't go well.
Yeah, she's the real hover meaty.
Because, like, almost everything she hits you with does a full heart. I guess, is it the Floor Fire that doesn't do a full heart of damage?
The Floor Fire does half.
Yeah.
Everything else is 1, and the Nightmare is obviously 1. Everything
Yeah.
does.
Honestly, I usually joke that Reese isn't the final boss, the Rails are, because that's much more likely to screw you over, but yeah, they can be a little scary, but I don't know, I feel like I've gotten a little better at reacting to them. But yeah, actually, Eric, you didn't, I don't know if I saw your full Enchantress fight. I think I did, though. I think you didn't die on the last level, did you?
No, not at all.
Alright, cool, because, I mean, that's really, like, the last level is just like, welp, we're here, but anything can happen.
Yeah, the
pretty
bosses
much.
are still pretty hard.
I think in my last race I died... No, in my first race I died twice to Nightmare Reese, which is like, what?
Yeah.
Well, now I can go back to Plague Knight.
Yeah, a lot of our runners in this tournament are simply playing Specter Knight because of the event. It's not their main, a lot of them. But
I was
definitely some good runs.
I was originally going to wait till I did like sub 50 Shovel Knight, but then I was like, oh, there's a tournament, and Specter Knight looks really fun to play, and it's being done at SGDQ, so I want to be knowledgeable about it for them, so I'm going to start playing it.
I guess one of the crazy things, because we had so many Plague Runners especially come to Specter Knight tournament, like Eric is 7th on that Plague Knight.
Damn. Yeah, at this point, my Spectre... I have not done Plague Knight because I just find the knockback so hard to deal with. But, my Shovel Knight time...
Fun, though.
My Shovel Knight time is nearly 10 minutes slower than my Spectre Knight time at this point, because I'm barely sub 55 than Shovel.
So, along with flooding the chat with a bunch of the other links that Speed Gaming provides us, I'm also giving a little nod to the stat sheet that I worked hard on.
Yeah, actually, I went back to that. Like, you had just said, you had just corrected what Eric's previous PB was. I was actually going to look at that to say something in chat about what it was. So yeah, that thing actually is pretty helpful, especially given that some people have improved a ton since the seeding actually happened. Like, all 3 people who I've faced, I think, have improved. Like, their race time against me was like 2 to 3 minutes faster than their PB at the time that seeding occurred.
Yeah, when something happened, I was a 54-30 or something like that.
Yeah. Applesock was the crazy one because, like, he seeded when he was at, like, 45 flat or something, which incidentally is now where I am, as of today, but he was at, like, 42, 40 something at the time we raced, and he ended up with a 44 and change during that race.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so with that PB, that is the 7th PB that we've had in this tournament.
Nice.
Nice.
Which is an insane amount.
It's too bad I couldn't have waited to do the 45 during the race. Oh well. Could have buffed your stats a little bit more.
But still, that was a really enjoyable race from both of you. Like, really well played.
Thank you.
Yep, absolutely.
I had a lot of fun after I stopped dying.
Yeah, I was like, alright, let's just put Flying Machine behind me, and then...
I think that's how we all, at least I feel that way all the time too. I think that's all of us.
I died to Tinker 1, and I was like, man, I
really?
want to not forfeit.
Oh, man. Yeah. No, the thing that would have gotten me is like, alright, I've already managed to die in Flying Machine in a really stupid way after the first one. I was like, just do not... I'm breaking the checkpoint at the top of the auto-scroller. Do not die now, please. Because, yeah, that would have been bad. I probably would have still kept going, and it probably still would have been interesting, but that would be terrible. That has not happened.
Yeah.
So with that, Kenny is going to be moving forward in the bracket, facing Oddbod next in the losers bracket. Eric, sorry to see you go. That was a very good run by very good 3 races by you. So
yeah,
over a 3-minute PB. That's insane in the race.
Yeah, You need to do sub 50, Eric. I mean, like, you're so close now. You have to do
I'm
sub 50.
so sad. I don't know if you heard me when I hopped into the chat, but
Oh,
if
no.
if I hadn't missed my last hit on Nightmare Rees, it would have been.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I know.
Yeah,
I saw
you got
the
a 50.04.
Yeah. Man, yeah. Well, that's like me. Like, I've been telling myself my goal is sub 45. My goal is sub 45. I got 45. I'm not done yet because my goal is sub 45.
Yes,
Yeah.
not recorded yet because you put that. I think you did it on a stream, but you haven't submitted it. But
No, I submitted it.
submitted
Actually, it got verified
today.
super fast.
Oh, okay. So you have a 45 flat on
Yes.
the leaderboard right now.
Yeah, that is my PB right now.
Maybe just be like Oddbot and Plague Knighting to stick with having a flat time.
Oh man, please don't.
Nah. I actually have to start playing riskier and like cut out checkpoints and stuff after the races are over. I've been doing a race safe route this entire time for this reason.
Yeah, I'm thinking about what this would have been if I hadn't done a race route instead of normal route.
Mm. Actually, the funniest part was I forgot how much gold that Tinker Knight was worth. So like I went and got the extra gold before the last checkpoint, or like on the last checkpoint screen in Tinker, thinking he might only be worth 2,000. So let's do this. Better safe than sorry. And it turns out I have 8,000 gold when I only need 7,000. Oops. Because that was after dying and losing all the money in Triple Jawa Room. I think somebody in chat even said Kenny's money is not in a good place. I'm like, yeah, that's gone.
Yeah, I lost my money in Triple Jawas too.
Do you drop money in the golden idol or whatever we call it, the thing that sells the armor before going into?
Yes, I do.
Okay, I do the same thing for that reason. Yep, that's the safe strats.
Well,
All right. Well,
I'm gonna be-
bounce, so have a good one, guys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thanks for the race.
Good runs.
good race. Just a reminder that we will have another race between Tolu and Amps at 3 p.m. tomorrow on Speed Gaming 2.
Excuse me, who was we? I had to do that, sorry.
Tolu and Amps will be having a race tomorrow at 3 p.m.
Yes, that'll be a fun one to watch. Being that we had Tolu earlier today.
Alright, well good luck to those guys.
I'm sorry, I'm mixing up Tolu with Patwa, but yeah, you know what I mean. Yeah. See you later.
Alright, see you everybody.
Okay. Thanks for the interview, Kenny.
Thank you.
Okay, so that's just about it for us. Thanks for watching. Be sure to follow the runners and also commentators if you want. I'm Troy Vathens.
I am Brass Wolf. Peace, love, and hugs.
Stay spooky.